New developments tonight in the ongoing trade talks with China. The lead negotiator for the U.S. says, quote, substantial progress has been made. It all comes as President Trump prepares for a trip to the Middle East. Today, he expressed doubt that Ukraine and Russia will reach a ceasefire deal. As Willie Inman reports, he's encouraging the two nations to meet in Turkey this week.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent described day 2 of the trade talks between the United States and China as productive and said more details will be released Monday. The weekend talks in Switzerland mark the first significant discussions between the two nations since President Trump imposed a minimum tariff of 145% on Chinese goods, and China responded with its own tariff hikes. In other international news, President Trump expressed doubt Sunday on Truth Social that Ukraine will reach a ceasefire deal with Russia, noting President Putin of Russia doesn't want to have a ceasefire agreement with Ukraine, but rather wants to meet on Thursday in Turkey to negotiate a possible end to the bloodbath. The president's post comes just 2 weeks after he sat down with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the Vatican to discuss the war. On Sunday, Zelensky responded cautiously to Russia's offer of direct talks, calling it a positive sign, but insisting that Putin must agree to an immediate ceasefire first. And in domestic news, state governors are weighing in on the deportation debate. On Sunday's Face the Nation, the governor of New Mexico expressed concern over what she called a lack of due process when it comes to deportations.
My bigger issue is indiscriminate ICE raids and sweeps, sowing fear in communities and with businesses all across the country, and that includes many communities right here in New Mexico.
All of this comes as President Trump prepares to visit the Middle East this week. He heads to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates, where he's expected to discuss the war in Gaza and fighting in Yemen. Willie Inman, CBS News, the White House.
And sources tell CBS News the royal family of Qatar is donating a 747 jumbo jet for President Trump's exclusive use as a presidential plane. Qatari officials confirmed the possible transfer of an aircraft from the Qatari Ministry of Defense to the Department of Defense is now under review. Tomorrow, the president departs on his trip to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates.